Good morning. It's Friday and it's time for another less than five devotional. I've been outside mowing this morning and I'm still sweating. Took a shower and I'm still sweating. It's hot, but I want to cut right to the chase this morning and talk to you about the events of this last week, last Sunday. And man, my heart is broken, and I could go into a lot about last week, but what I want to address this morning is um, the reason why my heart breaks is because of what I'm seeing on social media, all the things shared from pastors, not from pastors, but from people sharing stuff about pastors who um, are saying things like there should have been more people killed in the Orlando shooting, and just really saying some hateful things. And the Lord just laid something on my heart. I was going to share something else, but the Lord laid this on my heart this morning while I was mowing, actually, to share this passage with you from Paul in 1 Corinthians chapter 5. I'm going to be looking at verses 9 through 13, and I just want to cut to the chase and say that Paul gives us a good teaching here on how we're to handle things outside of the church. And he says, I wrote to you in my letter not to associate with sexually immoral people. Not at all meaning the sexually immoral of this world. Okay, he's saying, I wrote to you about associating with sexually immoral people, not the ones of this world. And he goes on to say, or the greedy and swindlers or idolaters, since then you would need to go out of the world. But I'm writing to you not to associate with anyone who bears the name of a brother if he is guilty of sexual immorality, and again continues with greed, idolater, reviler, drunkard, or swindler. It's not just one group of people. It's there's more to this. Paul says, don't even eat with such a person. And then verse 12, this is what I want to focus on. For what have I to do with judging outsiders? Is it not those inside the church whom you are to judge? Plain and clear. It's pretty black and white. For what have I to do with judging outsiders? Is it not those inside the church who I am to judge, or who you are to judge? And then verse 13, God judges those outside. Purge the evil person from among you. Now, to me, this passage speaks loud and clear about how we should be handling certain situations outside the church. Specifically last Sunday, if you're a pastor and you're talking about shouldn't there be more people killed because of their sins and this and that and whatever, Lord help you, because Paul clearly tells us that we're not to judge those outside of the church. We're only to judge those inside of the church and let God handle those on the outside of the church. And I would commission you that the way God will handle those outside the church is through your love, through your compassion, through your generosity. Take care of those outside the church. Don't judge them. Don't say mean and hateful things, because it's only going to bring hurt. And hurt further separates us and further divides us. And it's time that we as Christians start loving people, especially those outside the church, and take care of business inside the church where it belongs. That's what Paul's telling us. Take care of your business inside the church. Do all these things I've taught you. Don't take that stuff outside the church. And so, I don't know, someone's going to probably give me a bad comment on this or whatever about making disciples and all that, and I get it. But I want you to seriously consider what Paul's saying here in 1 Corinthians chapter 5, specifically verses 9 through 13. And let's start loving people and let God take care of everything else. God bless you. Love you. Hope you have a good weekend and be safe.